ANC veteran Mavuso Msimang, just to get his sense about the conference. In an article in the Daily Maverick, he's quoted as saying he wept for the ANC when the so-called Taliban overpowered KwaZulu-Natal during the recent ANC provincial elections there. Let's discuss his views now on the state of the ANC. Mr. Msimang, good afternoon. Welcome to ENCA. Thank you very much for your time. Why did you cry?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm not quite responsible for doing the headlines. That is put in place by the sub-editors, and you know you people how it goes. So my concern really was that, oh my God, there's an echo. I'm really struggling.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Please continue. So, yeah, there was editorial license there, maybe describing your sense and your emotions about it, what happened in KwaZulu-Natal. But what's your sense? What's your sentiment overall as the ANC is grappling with this policy conference?
Okay, fine. What was very worrying about the provincial conference in KwaZulu-Natal was the messaging that was sent out to the public. Namely, that it seemed as if the major and only preoccupation of the conference was to find out what happened to Jacob Zuma. Now, people are absolutely at liberty to worry about those things, but for a province that is facing a number of very serious problems, such as, for instance, violence. There is a lot of violence in South Africa. There is violence in KwaZulu-Natal. But KwaZulu-Natal is way ahead of the rest of the country in political violence. You have the problem of corruption. I mean, going back more than 15 years, there have been cases of corruption that involve politicians. You have the issue of reducing, diminishing following of the membership of the ANC in the province. One would have thought that a new set of people coming into office would focus on reversing these trends and letting the public know that we are going to deal with these things, which are quite problematic. As I was saying, the ANC will have to work very hard to retain leadership at provincial level in the coming elections as a result of these and many other problems.
Where's the nub of the problem? One of our analysts who's with us here, Lihle Mkopozi, was saying to us, discipline in the ANC seems to be very difficult, but the ANC has got the policies, it's got the constitution, its own party constitution, it's got its integrity commission, but it doesn't seem to have teeth in order to align and rally its membership in one direction.
So that's exactly what. You've got a new group of people. They decide to brand themselves the Taliban. It's a very curious way to introduce themselves to society. But you would think that since they want to really be new brooms, they must change this perception or the reality of the ANC not having sufficient discipline to implement its policies. I would have expected them to say we are coming in now. Our province is beset with these many problems, and we want you to know that we are going to deal with these things very vigorously. There will have been papers, I'm sure, that were submitted for discussion, but you want also your constituency, the populace, the people that you want to lead politically, to understand when you meet, what do you want to do?
Yeah. My colleague Masigo Rahlaga has asked this question to several other ANC officials that we've been interviewing here since yesterday. She points out as a reminder that from the Mangaung conference in 2012, the ANC has been speaking about renewal. In fact, then it said there's going to be a decade of renewal. We're sitting here today at Nasrec, we are hearing the same thing about organizational renewal. Why do you think, as a veteran of the movement, your organization is finding it hard to renew itself properly and fully?
The problem arises from the fact that they have refused to do a diagnosis of why the organization needs renewal. Why is the organization experiencing these problems? You can't have, I think Thabo Mbeki commented on this recently also, you have to identify what causes the problems that are causing the ANC needs to remove in order to renew itself. You have a high level of corruption in the organization. You've got people who are part of the effort that expresses itself in charge of, in desirous of renewal. So how do you have people who are a problem, and this is the problem of the ANC, also not being identified for the wrong things they do and asked to step aside, by the way, speaking of which, so that the organization can move forward and renew itself. What is it renewing itself from? It has fallen into difficulties because of corruption. It has fallen into difficulty because of poor performance. Why is this the case? It is the case because there are a lot of people who have been deployed into the organization, some of them in senior leadership, who are the drag. And unless you remove this drag, these negative forces, then you've got to swallow hard, take the action to do that.
And take the medicine that's required. Thank you very much for your views and your time this afternoon. That's Mr. Msimang, the veteran of the ANC. Just